Hi guys, welcome to our YouTube channel, Dark X Wolf 17. Today we're going to do a Murder Drones film analysis for an English project. We're going to talk about the plot or the premise. Then we're going to dive a bit into the themes that they talk about and a little bit about the characters that we like. The story. So the main plot is presented by Uzi, the main character, who is a worker drone. She explains that humans use these worker drones to mine exoplanets. Unfortunately, the humans somehow made the core explode. The planet kind of like went insane, unbalanced, exploded. So all the humans died, and it's implied that, you know, the temperatures became really cold, like it's snowing everywhere, and so the bots are the only ones, you know, can survive. But since the humans didn't want rogue AI on an exoplanet, they sent disassembly drones to fix this problem. And fast forward to Uzi presenting this to the class, and she says the solution is her sick as hell railgun. That's it. That's the plot of the story. She wants to go out and kill some murder drones because they're killing worker drones.
It's fair.
Yeah. Visual storytelling. In episode 1, there are actually a few spoilers. Sin, which is the show's antagonist, her name is shown in episode 1 when Uzi goes out and she meets this assembly drone and she shoots off his head. And a bit later, when his head is rebooted up, in the corner, you can see while there's some code showing, it says absolute solver blocked by administration sin. We don't really know what's going on in the first episode, but this will be important for later. Something that's shown is that Uzi is an angsty teen, a little outcast, emo girl in her class. Yeah, so it gives a lot of like outcasted underdog main character energy, which I think is great writing. And we clearly see the characters' personalities.
Oh yeah, 2 others. They're not hunting for a bit, but you'll love them. First, there's V.
And yet, I still feel nothing.
It's very stereotypical.
It's very stereotypical, but it works because it's kind of satire. Foreshadowing in episode 1, on Uzi's presentation slide, there's the hero's journey, or the protagonist's journey, which is a very well-known writing trope. So here, we already have spoilers for the entire series. There's, of course, the call to action, which is her going out wanting to kill different murder drones. And then in episode 2, between episode 2 and 3, there's an angsty teen kind of like overload. And when you see challenge and temptation, there's episode 3 to 4 where Uzi is tempted to eat oil because her solver thing is starting to go nuts. Yeah. Why am I the only one talking?
If you want me to talk,
okay, the arrow, as you see in Helper, that could be our character Tessa joining the rest of the gang. Mm-hmm. Then we have Revelation, which is, you know, big spoilers. We're going to be spoiling a lot in this presentation because.
So if you haven't watched the show, you should probably watch the show.
So Revelation could, you know, be that maybe the helper wasn't really a good helper, and other like plot and lore stuff. That happens through episode 5 to 7. Episode 5 is like a flashback, so it gives all the backstory elements. And then there's an angsty overload, which kind of happens throughout. And then it's a return, which shows that we're going to return here. Spoilers that it possibly could be a good ending.
Episode 2 first opens up with a flashback to where we see N, the male disassembly drone, in a house. Now, the actual episode goes more as... Yeah, I have to take off my jacket.
You can just keep this in, who cares?
Now, episode 2. In episode 2, it first opens up to, we see a flashback from the perspective of N. And N is in this house, presumably on Earth, where he's serving a lot of humans. And then we are introduced to two very important characters, Tessa and Sin. And that's really all we learn just from this flashback, but we learn more later in episode 5. Mm-hmm. Now, the actual episode goes more or less about after, in episode 1, when Uzi kills Jay, and her corpse starts getting a little weird.
crawling around.
Like a big centipede with magical hologram powers. And now the Eldritch J, as we have to call her, goes around killing a lot of different people and tries to kill N and Uzi, but it ends with them managing to kill Eldritch J. Now the important part is that Uzi sees all the holograms, sees her father Khan die, and this is kind of traumatizing. This is like angsty teen overload, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
So she gets real scared of N.
To go into more detail of the hologram thing, some of the holograms look really like poor, and then there's some holograms that literally look realistic, which is why she's afraid of N, because Eldritch J displays a hologram of N. Suddenly he disappears, and then he reappears again, like totally normal, fully like rendered as if he was really there. He asks for the gun, and Uzi gives it to him. Then he switches back to like these kind of claws and whatever eye thing. And so obviously that's traumatizing. She doesn't know what is real or not. And before Eldritch J can kill her, N has his chainsaw hands and, saves the day. But, more trauma. We're not sure what's going on yet.
There's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of holograms. We don't know what's real.
And a lot of foreshadowing.
Yes. And also in the flashback, there's a guy who asks where Tessa gets all the hair from, which we find out. It's implied that she gets it from graves. So she's a little morbid child.
A little freaky.
A little freaky. So in episode 3, it's a prom episode. Ooh! But not only is it like filler, it has lore. I want to talk about V. Like the way V has been in contact with Lizzie, which is like one of the popular worker drones. I don't know how they got in contact. They never explained this in the show, but it's kind of interesting to see how this happened. But basically, Lizzie did befriend V because Doll, Lizzie's friend, wanted to get revenge on V because V killed her parents. Lizzie, she regrets wanting to kill V. But anyway, Doll almost kills V. Then Uzi and N have to step in and save her. And when they're fighting, Doll is surprised that Uzi will take the murder drone's side.
Uzi, your brothers are still on the with BS. You teach me to go and you see you beat me. Whoever started this wants us to fight. I'm not dealing with anything well, but I'm done dealing with everything alone. We move forward together or not at all.
And then we see the reaction of N and V. And they seem genuinely surprised because obviously why would you team up with them when your parents literally got killed by them? Too bad she gets shot by V. But so they go to Doll's house after that. At the very start of the episode, Doll steps on a cockroach when she goes into her house, which is a foreshadowing to her potential demise. And also personality. Because as we see later, I think Uzi or N doesn't step on the cockroach, which also shows that, they're the main characters and they probably won't die. Probably. This is also when Uzi's solver really activates. Throughout the first episode, there's a there's a little scene where her eye glitches out. In episode 2, she's breaking mirrors with her little special eye, and then in episode 3, that's when it really activates. Doll tries to shoot Uzi, and Uzi stops it with her solver. Doll realizes that she has the same kind of solver gene, so Doll feels bad for her, and then she teleports. At the very end of the episode, I'll play the clip. Next episode. Okay, in Cabin Fever, Uzi wants to find some information, and she asked her teacher to go, but then the teacher made the whole class go.
Teacher, what is this field trip?
Yeah, Uzi's idea. Ask her.
Who? I sat next to you for years. Fight me! I asked to go alone! He's mad at your test scores!
No, you're in notice. No learning.
So, we just unsupervised.
So now they're out camping. A little foreshadowing is that Uzi has a backpack with wings. Plot twist, she gains wings that episode. Something I really liked was the stereotypes. When the students are walking out of the bus, you can clearly tell who is who. Like, you get very stereotypical. V is very scared of Uzi's powers now. She clearly knows what's up. She says,
New body, same horrors. Huh, Sin?
new body, same horrors, huh, Sin?
We can't hurt Uzi to our jobs, and that thing leads us to know what you're talking about because you won't tell me!
So we already get a spoiler that V knows the Sin is somehow in Uzi's body. And finds a zombie drone's VHS tape. He touches it and flashbacks. And then a very good gag I liked in the show is when
Rebecca, who did this to you? Don't remember her name. Super unpopular.
Descriptive clues, man!
Her eyes. Topic. Like I know.
it really shows that Uzi truly is unpopular. They're not bullies. She's just a loser.
Yeah, and nobody knows her name either.
Nobody knows her name. Another thing with V is that she has more character development.
Oh, missing some campers here.
Yo, I get hungry, idiot.
No name calling, just a question.
V doesn't let anybody see that she cares because she keeps up this persona of being a mean-spirited bum. But
She's not a bum.
she is a bum.
She's not a bum.
We're
Get
keeping
out.
it in. We're keeping it in.
Get out.
Yeah, but she just wants everybody to know that she doesn't care, when in reality she does care a lot.
So she's kind of similar to
Yeah, but like Uzi's emo and a grape.
Episode 5, Home. Literally, I love Liam Vickers because it's at home. It's a very good title. It's everyone's home except the main character. We love that. I want to talk about the intro. It's really fun. They have like a little VHS thing, almost a jab at VHS horror, which I find very interesting. But it gives a lot of context to what the murder drones actually are. We found out that disassembly drones aren't meant to disassemble worker drones. They're broken robots. So originally, disassembly drones meant drones that were disassembled. This means someone must have used these broken, quote-unquote, drones and made them into what they now are, murder drones.
And we find and we see this certain someone this episode as well. We are introduced to Sin this episode. She's also the broken robot we see in the intro. She's in this big pile of corpses.
Yeah.
Now, Sin is disabled. She also speaks very weird. Sin is this problem.
Can I also mention before that, N is he is the smartest horror protagonist ever. Play the clip. I just honorable mention. I think that's great writing, that they're not stupid. Anyway, so we see that Sin clearly is not a robot. We see a light flash.
Yeah.
And then we see the centipede thing with lights.
Yeah. We see that same centipede thing we see in episode 2 with
Yeah.
Eldritch J on Sin
Yes.
from the very get-go. So she is a lot more weirder than every other drone.
Yeah. I want to talk about Tessa in this episode. We get to see more of her character and personality. We see that she usually doesn't interact with humans a lot, which is probably why she's digging up these drones.
She has no friends.
Real. And then we also see signs of child abuse first in this scene.
This human's coming. How are they up here? Try about to Jay. Quick, pretend to be everything real stuff. On you go.
When I first watched it, I was like, what is going on? But then later we see why, because she's chained up.
And that's why her wrist hurts, because she's being chained up by Mr. Humperdump and her mother.
Crikey, what a bounding hump to ruffle!
Why are you talking like that?
But Tessa is being abused by her parents because they're chaining her up for every wrongdoing she does.
Honestly, fair. Like, if my child was digging up corpses...
And fixing robots. To be honest, I would also kind of chain her up.
Okay, so in this episode, Uzi is trying to connect or find N through their memories.
Actual 17?
Something like that.
They figured it out.
Yeah, it's not time travel, it's memories. So while Uzi keeps trying to contact N and he keeps ignoring it because he's a smart horror protagonist, eventually he gets set outside because he covers for Sin for being absolutely horrible and disrespectful to Tessa's parents. He gets locked up outside and Dark X Wolf 17 shows up.
She made it when she was 6, right?
8.
Ugh, made the tag when I was 8. Shut up.
So they go to the basement, and then they need a key. And while they're trying to look for a key in the basement to restore memories, Sin starts massacring the gala.
Yep.
And then we see Tessa throwing things.
Tessa, remember, you didn't have to. You didn't have to. You didn't have to say this.
And shooting.
Yeah, and shooting. So there's a tiny fight, and then they find a basement key, Uzi and N. They go down to the basement, and we see some horrifying sights. And maybe Jay, we just see N and V's corpses down there, but they are being lobotomized and mangled.
So, that's a pretty metal origin story.
And Sin is making copies of them. I'm not sure if they remember. N definitely does not remember, which is why he's the only one who seems worried when he finds out that Tessa has been locking Sin up in the basement.
You guys are locking her up?
We don't know much about V because right now V is kind of shy before her whole mean girl persona. And then there's the ending scene.
Yeah, and in the screen and in the ending, we see that the trio meet with Tessa and Jay again,
Yeah.
and Doll.
Yeah.
And it's like this big roundabout that sets up for episode 6, which is Dead End.